friends, and welcome to my channel. In today's video, we are going to sew our block number 10 from our Pieceful basket sew along. Those are the block that comes in our sew sample box. This is what we are going to be sewing today. This is what our block is going to look like, and I'm going to show you what mine looks like. This is what we're going to be sewing today. Have you ever do a sew along and you feel like you want to be done already? I'm just being completely transparent because that's kind of where I am right now with this sew along. I feel like I need to be accountable, not only to you guys, but also to myself, because I am getting to the point where, oh my gosh, do I really want to make 2 blocks at a time? So in order for me to be accountable and then just to finish and not make it a UFO, block number 10 will be sewn in the yellow colorway of which I have chosen. So that way I can be accountable, because I feel like I want to be done with this sew along. So, which is the second block that I'm making of my own colorway. That's what I'm going to be doing in this video, to be accountable and to not make it a UFO. That's why I'm sewing it in a yellow colorway today. So I just want to let you guys know so you know what's going on. So that's where I kind of am. I'm like, oh yeah, so I kind of want to be done already. Now that I have that out of the way, I'm going to go ahead and show you my cutout for block number 10, and then we'll get to sewing. So let's do that. Here we go. So these are what my pieces look like, all nice and cut out. And I have here this piece cut out in strips, because when we do our checkerboard, they want us to cut it out in little squares, and I have opted not to. So I will show you my process of how I'm doing and what I'm doing with that. And I do have labels here letting me know what letters I need to sew next. With that being said, let's go ahead and sew our pieces. For our pattern, the first thing we're going to sew will be the 4 patches. So what I have done, instead of cutting out little squares, I just went on ahead and cut out strips, then I'll cut it and then make the 4 patch that we need. Let's go ahead and sew this. So now these 2 are sewn. What I'm going to do is press it. So now what I'm going to do is go on ahead and trim to what we need. When you cut it like I just did, this is what your pieces will look like. So what we're going to do is just do a 4 patch and another 4 patch, and we will need 3 that looks just like that. So what I'm going to do now is just chain piece it, which makes it a lot easier because you're not cutting little pieces and then you have so many junctions to meet. I'm just making sure that I nest my seam so that way it doesn't look janky. You can only try. We need to make 3 of the 4 patches and it's all done. Our next step is to make what they call a corner unit, kind of like a 3/4 square, but it's going to look different. So what we're going to do is take our piece right here, the basket fold. We are going to take it and we're going to slash it down the middle. This is not my favorite square to make, but it is what it is. So now we have 2 of them. And then we're going to take another old piece, which is our background. Okay. I'm going to put it on this pink cutting mat so you can see better. And then we're going to take our other square. So we're going to take this piece. We have 2 of them. We are also going to cut it down the middle. So we're going to cut one of them like this. Okay, and then it gives you 2, and then you're going to cut another one of the same fabric. This is what it's going to look like. We have 4 there. The next thing we're going to do is bring back our background. So we're going to take this piece, bring it like this, take this piece, bring it like this, and then we're going to sew from here to here, and then we're going to press, and then we're going to sew from here to here, and then we're going to press. And I'm going to show you how to trim it down because it's going to be oversized once it's sewn. So what I'm going to do now is sew this one. And what we are doing for this is pressing it going this way. So this one is done, and we're going to take this piece, we're going to bring it like that, and then we're going to sew. This end right here is going to match with this end right here, and then you're going to sew it just like this. Okay, so this is what it's going to look like before I press it. So what I'm going to do with this right here, now this is how I make mine. It is a little oversized, so if you bring this right here like this and try to sew a 1/4 inch away, So if I bring this right here and try to flip it and sew a 1/4 inch away, it won't have that effect over there. So what I'm going to do is take this and I'm going to trim a 1/4 inch away from this little dip right here. So let me show you. I'm gonna bring this over like this, as much as I can. I'm gonna just cut a 1/4 inch away. So when I do sew, I'm sewing exactly a 1/4 inch. See that? See how that is right there? And my tip is right there. So the tip of my little ruler, my little measuring ruler is right there. And my 1/4 inch away is kind of like right here. And I'm just going to trim it. So this is how I do mine to kind of get it as close as possible. So now it looks a little bit more manageable. So when I bring this over and flip it and still see what it looks like, this is not my favorite square to make. So I'm going to do it like this, and then I'm going to come over and sew on this side to make sure that I'm not cutting out my my parts right here. And if it doesn't come out right, then I would just go back and trim and rip it out and redo it. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do is just go ahead and sew it. Okay, I'm gonna sew a 1/4 inch away, and let's see what it looks like when I'm done. And so this is what it looks like. Not quite, but it's close enough. So now what I'm going to do is trim to the size that we need. So now this is what it looks like, all nice and pressed. This right here is supposed to meet, and it's supposed to just look like that. And this is the second one that we need to make. So this is what they both look like right there. And then we're needing to make 2, but I'll just show you how I sew mine, and hopefully that will help alleviate a little bit of confusion if you're sewing along. So that part is done. So the next thing we need to do is step number 3. So step number 3 just wants us to make an HST. Okay, that's all we're doing, literally. These are the 2 HST needed for our next step, which is step number 3, and they are done. The next thing we are going to do is assemble this block. But before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and make our tiny HST that we're going to need. So I'm going to make the segment that is needed. So I'm going to do that ahead of time. So these are the 2 mini HST that we're going to need for later. Our next step is to assemble all the pieces that we've been sewn so far. We're going to take our 4 patch. We're going to put it like this with the lighter color going to the left. And we're going to take our next 4 patch and we're going to put it like that. And then we're going to take this head in the butt square right here that I just completed. We're going to put it like that. And I didn't like making that, I'm sorry. And then we're going to take this and put it like so. And then we're going to take our HST, okay? And then we're going to take our solid piece. We're going to bring it over like this. And then we're going to take this piece right here. Okay, we're going to bring it like this. This is what we're going to look like so far. So when the flower is sitting, it's going to look something like that. So this is how they get the checkerboard effect. But let's just sew it and see what it looks like. So now that they've all been sewn together, this is what they are looking like. Our next step is to sew on these side pieces. So what I'm going to do is just sew the bottom piece, and I'll come back and sew the right side. The bottom side is sewn on and the top part is sewn on. So what we're going to do next is sew our background right here, and we are going to sew our HST that we made earlier, and we're going to get our teeny tiny square piece and we're going to sew it to the end. What I'm going to do here is leave the letter onto the side so that way I know what goes where. But for now, I'm just going to sew on the HST that I've made ahead of time. This goes like this. By now you would think this is block number 10 that I would know which direction to sew which one, but you know what? No, because I've slept since the last block. All right, so we're going to take our next one that's going to go horizontal. We are going to take our solid piece and we're going to take our HST and we're going to sew it just like this. We're going to sew this part right here to our shorter strip. So that's how this is going to be. And so our horizontal piece is going to be like this. And we're going to take our HST and our solid piece and we're going to put it just like this. And we're going to sew it. I did chain piece them and I'm just going to press away from the white fabric, pressing with my finger. I'm not using an iron because I don't want to stretch it. This is what they're going to look like. We have our other solid piece. So we're going to bring this and we're going to sew our white fabric onto the end. And I am leaving the letter on so that way I know which piece goes where. So we're going to sew this onto the longer strip first. What we're doing here is pressing to the darker fabric, which in my case is the yellow. I'm leaving my letters onto the side so that way it keeps me in check. Those are all done. So now what I'm going to do is connect all the pieces that we just sewn. So this is what this is going to look like. And I'm going to sew the top on first. So now that the right side pieces are sewn on, the left side pieces are also sewn on. We're going to bring our other strips that we need to sew and we're going to also connect them. Like I said, this is like a puzzle and we're just kind of putting it together. And I'm going to sew the top on again. So now that the center of the block is done, we are not stopping here. So what we're going to do next is take our background, which is the white fabric, and our supporting character fabric. We are going to take this little square and sew it onto the bottom like we've been doing. And what I'm going to do is just sew on straight onto the middle. All right, so now this middle part is sewn on. I'm going to bring my other piece right here. That is a plain piece. I'm going to put it on top right here. And what I'm going to do is bring my ruler and slash right down like that. So now I have my ruler from here to here. I'm just going to just cut. So when you cut diagonally, you should have the exact same size of 4 pieces of fabric. So what we're going to do now is bring our middle piece fabric and then we are going to just sew on the sides. And this is what we have so far. So what I'm going to do now is piece everything together and this block will be completed. This is it right here. This is our block number 10 all completed. And this is what it looks like in my colorway, even though I'm having a sew along fatigue right now. So, and I'm also going to show you what it looks like in the blue. Both of them are done and completed. And so I need to be true and I'm going to go ahead and cut out the finishing part, which is the sashing for this blue colorway. So that way that will be out of the way and there won't be any kind of hiccup or any kind of like barrier with me completing the entire quilt. So because I'm such type A personality, I feel like I need to get it done. And so that way it doesn't become a UFO and just kind of like have their own little room where they grow in my sewing room. That's all I have for you today. I hope you are having a great day. Don't forget to subscribe down below and I will love to see you in my next video. Bye.